Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I'm back in the world of Fantagraphics, taking a look at Donald Duck, the 90th Anniversary Collection. This beautiful hardcover lovingly captures some of the best of highlights from his long history in the comic book medium. I admit I am newer to Duck comics. In fact, I think I've only reviewed one or two on the channel thus far, but this one was a real treat, especially for me as a longtime Disney fan. I love seeing our favorite cartoon Duck having all of these misadventures, and I can't wait to talk about this collection with you today. Before we dive into that review though, I would like to just say a huge thank you to those at Fantagraphics for sending over this review copy in exchange for this honest review. And as always, I'd like to shout out the channel sponsor, Panelbound Comics. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to them in the video's description, and if you see anything on the site you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you for considering. Now on with the show. First, some quick facts about today's collection. This anniversary collection has Donald Duck stories by Carl Barks, Don Rosa, Romano Scarpa, Marco Rota, and many, many more. The collection itself was published by Fantagraphics in 2024. The volume collects Donald Duck comic adventures from the 1930s all the way to the present. And finally, this is a roughly standard size hardcover with beautiful matte paper stock, a sewn binding, and a total of 368 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first dedicated look at the front cover for today's hardcover collection. I should note, of course, that this does not come with a slipcase or dust jacket or anything like that. We just have this beautifully printed art on the hardback book itself. We, of course, have Donald Duck exploding out of a celebratory cake. We have some fun cartoony font. We have some cool kind of starburst pattern behind him. A good kind of blue checkered pattern behind that. Honestly, it's a really great cover design, and it just really makes you want to dive right in. Along the spine, we have a field of blue, the Disney logo, a little picture of Donald's head there. We have Donald Duck, the 90th Anniversary Collection, some of the creators, and of course the Fantagraphics logo at the bottom. I really do like the spine design. It's crisp, it's sharp, it retains his color scheme, and we even have a little picture of Donald. I think it kind of has it all. Overall, it looks really great on a bookcase, and yeah, just really like the design here. Very, very well crafted by Fantagraphics. Along the back cover, we have a blurb about this compilation collection. We have some images of art there with Donald and some of his nephews, the Fantagraphics logo, pricing information, and all of that. We do have sort of the design work from the front cover retained here for the back, which gives a sense of uniformity. I really appreciate this publisher's attention to detail. You just get the sense that everything is so well crafted and that everything's almost like a love letter to the material, and I certainly felt like that with this Donald Duck collection. And now, as I like to do for all you prospective collectors out there, I did want to showcase a quick look at this book's binding. As I mentioned, it is a sewn binding. Luckily, we do have some white borders along a lot of the pages, so gutter loss was fairly minimal in this collection. The binding was a little bit tight, but luckily these pages aren't going anywhere. Overall, no complaints on the binding. I think they did a good job. Now, I mentioned that this was roughly a standard size hardcover, but I did want to go ahead and do a quick size comparison for everyone just to give a sense of scale. So to do that, I do have a standard size trade paperback, the volume 1 of Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen's Descender from Image Comics. Just again, to show you a sense of scale. As you can see, this Donald Duck collection does stand a bit taller and a bit wider than your standard trim size, single issue or trade paperback. So it does maybe appear a bit larger. But yeah, I just wanted to show scale. It's still roughly standard size, and honestly, I think it's a really great size for the content. And in case you are curious, and in case you are interested, I did review the first volume of Descender on this channel some time ago. I'll try to link that video in case you just happen to be curious. And now that we're done with the size comparison, I think it's time to jump into the book. Okay, and as we make our way into today's collection, we have some of the most beautiful end pages I've ever seen with Donald Duck here. I love them. I think the end pages are gorgeous on this book. We also have a title page, publication information page. We have a full kind of creator breakdown and table of contents, which I love to see. And we even have an introductory kind of essay celebrating Donald Duck and some of the contents we're about to read. After that, we jump right into the stories. I'm happy to say before some of the comics, we even have little paragraphs or blurbs that establish the context in which some of these stories were initially published, which I love to see. After that, we're off to the races. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we have stories from the very beginning of his comic book history, back in the 1930s, all the way until somewhere in the 2000s, so we go pretty contemporary on that end as well, and everything in between. We do have some superstar Donald Duck comic talent like Carl Barks and Don Rosa, but we have a lot more than just that as well. I love when we start, we have kind of serialized comic strips, and then we all the way have kind of, more self-contained comic adventures, and again, just everything in between. I really enjoyed it. Now, I know at the top I didn't actually mention every single story in this collection, and nor will I right now, but just to give you a few, you had those early newspaper comics, you have stories like Donald Duck's Special Correspondent, Sleepy the Donald, Lost in the Andes, Legend of Donaldhood, Ogg's Iron Bed, that was one of my favorite, Kingdom Under the Sea. We have the Return to Plain Awful, snippets from the life and times of Donald Duck, The Black Moon. We have Brother Can You Spare a Pot of Gold, The Rise and Fall of Donald Duck, and more and more and more. Again, this is just a sampling of some of the titles in this incredible collection. Now, if I didn't put too fine a point on that, this is kind of an anthology collection as well, commemorating this anniversary for Donald Duck. He's been around 90 years in this medium, and I can't believe it. I love that we get little smatterings of stories throughout his prestigious comic book career, and with so many different creators, both writers and illustrators on this book, you get a real dynamic sense of the character and his evolution over time. I do think some of my favorites were Carl Barks and Don Rose's material, but I also really like that Ogg's Golden Bed story where we have kind of a time travel narrative. Really fun stuff. Of course, we have Donald Duck's in center stage here, but we have a lot of his supporting casts like Uncle Scrooge, his nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie, his love interest Daisy Duck, and so many more. A lot of the stories have to do with Donald Duck's antics or misadventures. We see some of his overconfidence leading to his eventual foibles and follies, but a lot of just kind of fun, high-flying adventure. We have the Return to Plain Awful, and I think that the Lost in the Andes, both of which involve him and his nephews traveling to this society that's buried in the mountains somewhere in this valley, where everything is kind of square or rectangular versus rounded, and they're on a quest to find these cubic kind of eggs, and they need to find these cube chickens in this weird lost village. And of course, later on, we have the return to that village as well. This was a fun, fantastical treat. We have that story where he's undersea with a mermaid, he falls in love, and that's a really fun one. We have a misadventure where he's kind of a superhero that Daisy Duck is in love with, although she's not in love with Donald. That's kind of a fun one near the end of the collection. I mentioned the Ogg's Golden Bed story where he has, they're trying to find this gold bed, and to do that, they go back in time to find out if this bed is legitimate. Really liked that. I'm a sucker for a good time travel story, but we have a lot more than that. We have some that are more straight-laced and kind of realistic adventures, and some that just go into high-flying fantasy mode, and I kind of liked it all. This has a very animated, cartoony quality to it, and overall, this book really hit more than missed for me. I think with an anthology like this, with so many different creatives on it, it's hard to have everything be perfect for me as a reader, but again, I think it hit more than it missed, and overall, I just loved this showcasing. It's a really cool little time capsule of some of his greatest hits and just different eras for this character. I love how Fantagraphics was able to compile this and put this together, and particularly before some of the stories, again, just having those little paragraphs that give you context as to when they were published, or again, just some details you might like as a reader. I thought that was a really great way to establish place and time. I didn't always have to run back to the table of contents to get more detail work, and I thought that was really well curated. The art is really lovingly restored here, and while I did say it's matte paper, it's kind of an archival thick matte paper stock, and honestly, I think that's really great as well. All the colors pop, the art seems brilliantly restored or at least preserved, and overall, I was just really really impressed with it. Now, we don't have a lot of narrative through lines here. Being an anthology, a lot of these are really standalone. I think, again, the only exception is probably that Return to Plain Awful, which serves as a kind of sequel to an earlier narrative. And while I did really like that, I still just had just as much fun with these kind of serialized or individual stories. Donald Duck, for me, of the main Mickey Mouse kind of Disney crew, in many ways is the most complex to me. I think he's the most human or relatable. He's easily the most flawed, and I think in some ways the most exciting. He's a character you can really just kind of sink into, and I think that that's something that's really not lost on the comic creators here. I'm not really sure exactly how all this prestige came for these books, or why these people felt the need to invest so much to make them so awesome, but the comic book history of these Duck characters between Donald and Scrooge is just kind of mind-boggling to me, and reading some of the classics, I really see why. I think that this is a really exciting medium to have some of these characters showcased, and I like that their histories here are in many ways independent of some of their other incarnations in film or in, kind of more classic Disney cartoons. I like that they're able to do their own things and their own spaces, and again, just the boundless, limitless nature to some of the storytelling here. They can go into fantasy, they can go into crime detective stuff, they can go into slice of life, they can play with genres however they please, and everything seems kind of within the wheelhouse for these characters. It feels very limitless. And looking again at the tremendous range of Donald Duck's comic book bibliography in a collection like this, you just really see that on Front Street, and I think that that's really impressive and something that's underscored when you read a collection like this. Now, I know of many people that love collecting the Carl Barks or Don Rosa library for Scrooge or Donald or what have you, and a collection like this might seem a bit out of the wheelhouse, but I think that this is actually meant for maybe broader audiences, people that maybe don't even read comics but love Disneyana or Disney memorabilia or merchandise. There's people that really can just enjoy a work like this. Again, it's a great compilation celebrating an anniversary of a truly iconic character. While I do think that comic book fans are going to enjoy this the most, I think that there is a cross-section of just general Disney fans that would get a lot of joy about this. Having an introduction in the way that we do, and again, those little paragraphs throughout giving context, it almost feels like a rich history lesson as much as it's just a great collection of stories. Again, with so many different creators attached over so many decades, the evenness and cohesion of a collection like this is maybe not what I was looking for, but I still just loved my time with the Donald Duck 90th Anniversary Collection. And as we make our way to the end of this hardback collection, I can't stop just grinning ear to ear thinking about the long history of, again, this beloved character. I love Donald Duck in almost every medium I've seen him in, and comics is now no exception. This was a fun showcasing, a fun commemorative kind of book, and one I would recommend to a lot of Duck comic fans out there. And I think all that's left to do now is to give this collection a grade. For this exceptional and well-curated commemorative edition, the Comic Book Report is happy to give Donald Duck the 90th Anniversary Collection from Fantagraphics a B. This was easily a well above average read for me, and one I had a ton of fun making my way through over the recent months. A great little keepsake for Disney fans and comic book fans alike, showcasing some of the best in Donald Duck's comic book history. As always, Fantagraphics has put together another beautiful edition here. I love the production value that went into this, I loved the essays, I loved the little paragraphs, and I loved seeing how this art was just preserved or restored. I don't know what they did, but it's absolutely beautiful. This is a collection I would absolutely recommend to Donald Duck and general Duck comic fans out there, but I'd love to know what you think. Have you read the Donald Duck 90th Anniversary Collection? And if not, would you consider it? Also, are you a fan of the Duck comics, and what would you recommend from the Duck library? Whether it's Donald or Scrooge, let me know that in the comments as well. Again, a huge thank you to those at Fantagraphics for sending this over, and for all of you for taking this journey with me. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, those comments we talked about, and maybe share the video with a friend. Thanks everyone, and have a good one.